5 knives and a peach soda. Take 2. Hello and welcome to Donkermet channel. I like to carry knives. These are the 5 knives I'm carrying on me today. I think 5 is about a sweet spot. And thought I might review these knives. Pretty sure they have all been featured on the channel to a greater or lesser extent. So this is a Wyatt Hines EDC model. A very unusual knife by my lights in terms of the design, the profile. It's got this straight handle, quite long. Not such a long blade, but I think it's about 3.5 inches or so. M390, full convex, with this massive swedge, trailing point. Got a little thumb ramp there. Big old sharpening choil. Blue liners, stabilized burl wood. I apologize, I do not recall what kind of wood. Amboina, maybe? And a taper tang, as per my special request. Mr. Hines tapered the tang for me at no extra cost. Which is something that I consider quite remarkable. And apparently that was his first taper tang ever. And I prize a taper tang. I see a lot of knives out there. I would snap it up in an instant if I had a taper tang. But it doesn't, so I don't. Well, this is it's named the EDC. And it really is an excellent EDC knife. I can use this for anything from paring and chopping up some ginger for a ginger tea. The slice of lemon, of course that goes very well with such a blade. However, this will slash, it will chop lightly. Well, I mean, I haven't incurred damage on it yet, so I don't know how hard it can chop. And, obviously this tip can do a lot of stuff. Big old belly. No recurve. I do like a recurve. I would go so far as to say I love a recurve. I also prize a recurve. And so here we go. This is very nice, complementary, right? Everything I'm missing on this, I got it right here. On this very good knife company, Lineman in AEBL. Did I mention this is M390? Well, it says it right there. Yeah, brass. And nice weight to it. Balance is, it's not right under the index. It's a little further back, but certainly, the taper tang, for me, works well to bring that balance point a little further forward. And it's not too much weight for me on the belt, even in the company of this knife. Together, I can manage it. Now, another day, maybe I'll put the same shorts on with everything in the pockets and everything on the belt, and I'll be like, wow, that's heavy. But just walking around today, I don't notice it. So this one's done some work on the bittersweet today. This one I'll use for a slashing type pruning more. I mean, they could both, to a degree, do both. But this, for these pull cuts, the belly will tend to allow things to slide out. So this trapping blade here works very well for vines and all kinds of things. You got this robust point. I also use this today for doing some grass, just by the steps, kind of strimmer work, very up close and personal with the grass. And actually, I've noticed that slashing grass seems to me is actually pretty hard on an edge. I don't know how hard it is mechanically, but it does seem to wear out an edge. Maybe it's the silica in the grass, whatever. The fact that it's freestanding, it's very different from if you were to get a load of wheatgrass and chop it on a chopping board, you know, when it's all standing and swaying to and fro and you hit it. And even with the sharpest knife, sometimes you hit it, it bounces off. That tells you something. Yeah. I'll just show you the sheaths for these quickly, for these two knives. And how I have them set up. So the lineman goes in here like this. This is also worthy of consideration that this knife gives me instant, easy access. And it's a little more painstaking, actually, with the Heinz EDC all the way over here. But I got this on the belt loop there, so it won't come further over this way. So it's usually a two-handed operation or a more protracted one-hand operation to get that out of there. But when it's in there, it's not going anywhere, and it's not really bothersome, even though it's up here at this height. It doesn't work for winter garb, I find, having a knife this high on the belt. But now I'm just got one shirt on. Works just fine. And the pocket knives, and one of these 5 is not like the others because they're all made in USA except for this one, which is a Sheffield knife, and it is a race knife. So it's kind of like a scope, and I can use this to put an X on a tree to remind myself to cut it down. And once I've cut it down, I can mark my lengths, can scribe stuff, you know. Yeah, old Sheffield number, who knows, could be 100 years old. Or, what's it say here about the, again, I'm trying to focus, please. I mean, zoom, not focus, zoom. Zoom and focus. Yes, a W Marples, not marbles, Marples. The fluted bolster and this stag. You can actually see where when it was new, it would bite into the stag down there. Liners are all wibbly wobbly. Ah, no, man, the last time I got this thing out of my pocket and used it, it was very gritty. But somehow I just blew on it and it cleaned right up. That snap is something else. So that's a cool thing, and also for reference, because this has been in my right pocket with this. So one would expect correspondingly a bit of pocket wear, you know, when you got these things banging up against each other. But it seems to be faring okay. Ooh, is that dirt? Yeah, it's just dust. Pocket fluff. Yeah, the Case Knives Old Boy. So I showed up on Terry Knives and Man Stuff's channel, kind of ostensibly correcting him because he spoke about having this Wharncliffe Tony Bowes design. I think it was the Wharncliffe. Anyways, it's a case knife with the TB on it. TB, not TV. Oh, well, that's it. This one actually says T Bowes on it. Oh, there's the TB. Yeah. Yikes. Yeah, filthy from my pocket. But yeah, so it turns out this is kind of maybe arguably a Tony Bowes design. It's a toothpick, but it's like a modified toothpick. And so apparently this is, I don't know whether he recovered this per se, this precise design, or whether he kind of conceived of this toothpick-esque. If we compare it to the mini toothpick, there's something noticeably different going on at the butt. Otherwise, I don't know how different it would be from a kind of a regular toothpick profile. But it's called the Old Dog, and it's the last Tony Bowes collaboration knife that Case released after Tony Bowes passed on. they still had this pattern in the vault. And I found out about that while I was looking for a mini toothpick. Something told me I need a mini toothpick. And so while I was looking into that, I found this toothpick as well, Mini and Maxi. So I've been sporting them both, and I'd reworked the blades to some degree on both of them. It's very noticeable. If you look up images of a case toothpick, they tend to not have that much of a toothpick point on them. They tend to be a little rounded. So I just did my utmost to refine this, flatten it and thin it behind the edge. And I got a little polish going on, but it's not totally flat yet. So, yeah, that's like a Naniwa polish, I guess. Maybe a bit of the honing wheel on the Tormac there. Fantastic. My wife just removed a thorn from my foot with this very successfully. I'm very kind of her, and she did a great job, and so did the knife.